Good evening to everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss stability analysis of control system. These are the contents we are going to cover in this session. The first one is concepts of stability, and second one is necessary conditions for stability, and also Routh stability criterion. Okay. See, coming to concept of stability, here the term stability refers to the stable working condition of a control system. Okay, in general, every working system which is designed to be a stable, right? In a stable system, the response must be predictable, also stable for a given input. See, here the stability can be illustrated by placing a cone on a horizontal plane surface. See the figure. The first one indicates the stable, the second one indicates the neutral, the third one indicates unstable. A necessary and sufficient condition for a feedback system to be stable is that all the poles of the system transfer function have the negative real parts. See, a system is considered marginally stable if only certain bounded inputs will result in bounded output. Here bounded inputs nothing but finite inputs, so will result the finite output. Coming to the definitions of stability, a system is said to be bounded input, bounded output, stable if for bounded input we have bounded output. Okay, so output is controllable, nothing but in a system is stable only if its output is finite for any finite input, then only the system is bounded input, bounded output stability. See, in the absence of input, output must tends to 0 irrespective of initial conditions. A system in which initial conditions are 0, then the system is called as simply relaxed system. Coming to conditionally stable system, the system output is stable for a limited range of variation of its parameters. Then the system is called as conditionally stable system. See, for a bounded input signal, if the output has constant amplitude oscillations, then the system may be stable or unstable under some limited constraints. So such a system is called as limitedly stable or marginally stable or critically stable system. Okay, see the figure, that is critically or marginally stable. See here, this is S plane. So this is a complex plane, that is S equal to sigma plus j omega. Sigma is the real part and j omega is the imaginary part. So the x-axis indicates sigma and y-axis j omega. So we will see in detail next slides. Here, coming to absolutely stable system, if a system output is stable for all variations of its parameters, then the system is called absolutely stable system. Okay, coming to asymptotically stable system, a system is asymptotically stable if in the absence of input, the output tends towards zero irrespective of initial conditions, right? So that is called as asymptotically stable system. A system is stable if for a bounded disturbing input signal, the output vanishes ultimately as t approaches infinity. Okay, a system is unstable if for a bounded disturbing input signal, the output is of infinite amplitude or oscillatory. Okay, so these are the some definitions of stability. Okay, the next one is transfer function. Here we are expressing the transfer function as the ratio of two polynomials. Here m of s is my transfer function. M of s equal to, you know that transfer function is defined as the ratio of output by input. Here I am considering y of s is my output and x of s is input. So write down the transfer function in terms of polynomial equation, that is m of s equal to y of s divided by x of s is equal to b naught s power m plus b1 s power m minus 1 plus and so on up to bm divided by a naught s power n plus a1 s power n minus 1 plus and so on to an. See, then the order of denominator polynomial, that is n, is greater than the numerator polynomial of the transfer function, then the transfer function is simply said to be proper. So proper transfer function, that is n greater than or equal to m, then the transfer function is said to be proper. Otherwise it is called it as improper. Okay, see, the order of denominator polynomial, that is n greater than the numerator polynomial order, that is m. So nothing but n greater than or equal to m. Okay, so then only the transfer function is said to be proper, otherwise it is said to be improper. Here the roots of denominator polynomial of a transfer function are called poles. Roots of numerator polynomial of a transfer function are called zeros. Here the poles of the system are represented by a cross symbol, and zeros of the system are represented by zero symbol. Okay, like circle. Okay, simply circle. A system is always equal to number of poles of the transfer function. See, the system order is always equal to number of poles. Here the transfer function represents nth order, so number of poles of the transfer function also n. Here poles is defined as it is the frequency at which system becomes infinite. At the same time, zero is defined as the frequency at which system becomes 0. See, the poles and zeros of the system are plotted in S-plane to check the stability of the system. See, here we have S-plane. We know that S-plane is a complex plane, right? So S equal to sigma plus j omega. So sigma is the real part. Here the x-axis is sigma and y-axis, that is imaginary part, that is j omega, is presented on y-axis. Okay. Here if all the poles of the system, nothing but the roots of the denominator polynomial. Okay, the roots of denominator polynomial, nothing but poles, right? If all the poles of the system lie in left half plane, that is LH3, left half plane, the system is said to be stable. If any of the poles lie in right half plane, that is RHP, the system is said to be unstable. If the poles lie on imaginary axis, that is on j omega axis, then the system is said to be marginally stable. Okay. Here coming to the next one, that is location of poles on S-plane for stability. Okay, here the left side tabular form indicates the transfer function and location of roots on S-plane. The right side one indicates the impulse response, that is m of t. Okay, see the first one. Here in first case, my transfer function, that is m of s equal to a divided by s plus a. Okay, we know that the denominator polynomial of the transfer function are also called as characteristic equation, right? See, here for this my transfer function, my pole, okay, the roots of the denominator are called simply pole, right? So s plus a equal to 0, it is my characteristic equation. So the roots of the characteristic equation, that is s equal to minus a. So simply locate the pole value on S plane, which is showing the first left side first tabular form. Okay, so the graph, that is here root on negative real axis. See S plane. Okay, the first one. The corresponding impulse response, that is m of t, is equal to inverse Laplace transform of transfer function, that is a divided by s plus a. So it is equal to, from the Laplace transformation, inverse Laplace transformation, a into e power minus at. So that is my impulse response m of t. So here m of t equal to a into e power minus at. See the impulse response, that is here the response is exponentially decaying, which means the system is stable. Okay, so coming to the second one, here my transfer function m of s equal to a divided by s minus a. Okay, so the corresponding roots of the roots for this transfer function, that is s equal to a, right? Nothing but pole. Okay, always here we are going to locate poles on S plane, right? Poles nothing but the roots of denominator polynomial of the transfer function. Okay. Here s minus a equal to 0. This is the characteristic equation, right? So s equal to a. So s equal to a is pole, right? So simply locate the pole value on s plane. So that is the root is present on positive real axis. So see the corresponding impulse response, that is m of t equal to inverse Laplace transform of a divided by s minus c. So which is equal to a into e power at. See the response, that is the impulse response is exponentially increasing, which means the system is unstable. See, coming to the next case, here my transfer function m of s equal to a divided by s plus a plus jb plus a star divided by s plus a minus jb. So this is my transfer function. So corresponding, now we are going to locate the corresponding poles of the transfer function on s plane. Here for this transfer function, the roots are complex conjugate rules, right? See the figure, that is s plane. So the complex conjugate roots present on left half of s plane, that is one is minus a plus jb, that is one root, and second root is minus a minus jb, so that is second root. So corresponding impulse response, that is here impulse response is a damped sinusoidal, okay, nothing but damped oscillatory. So the response indicates the system is stable one. See, coming to the next one, here transfer function m of s equal to a divided by s minus a plus jb plus a star divided by s minus a minus jb. See, for this transfer function, my roots are also complex conjugate roots. Here the complex conjugate roots on s plane present on right half plane. Okay. See, the roots are, one is a plus jb, that is one root, and the second one is a minus jb. Okay, these two are complex conjugate roots. So the impulse response is exponentially increasing sinusoidal, that is amplitude of oscillations exponentially increase with time, which means the system is unstable. So coming to the next one, that is here my transfer function m of s equal to a divided by s plus jb plus a star divided by s minus jb. See, this is my transfer function. So corresponding roots of this transfer function, see here single pair of roots, okay, the roots are presented on imaginary axis, right? So one root is s equal to jb and another one is s equal to minus jb. So here the roots of this transfer function is present on the imaginary axis. So the corresponding impulse response for this transfer function, that is m of t, is a oscillatory marginally stable. Okay. So coming to the next one, that is m of s equal to a divided by s plus jb whole square plus s star divided by s minus jb whole square. Okay, here the roots are double pair of roots. See, double pair of roots, they are present, they are located on imaginary axis. See the S plane, left hand side table, that is second one. See, corresponding impulse response of that transfer function is linearly increasing sinusoidal, that is amplitude of oscillations linearly increases with time. So which means that the system is unstable. See the next one, that is here the transfer function m of s equal to a divided by s. That is here my root s equal to 0 simply. That is single root present at origin. So the impulse response is constant for this case, that is m of s equal to a divided by s. That is impulse response is constant and also marginally stable system. So coming to the second one, that is m of s equal to a divided by s square. So which means that double root is present at origin. Okay, so the corresponding impulse response for the transfer function a divided by s square is linearly increases with time. So the system is unstable one. See, here we are going to see the conclusion based on location of poles on S plane for stability. Okay. See, that is the stability of the system depending on the location of roots of characteristic equation, right? If all the roots of characteristic equation has negative real parts, then the system is stable. If any root of the characteristic equation has a positive real part, or if there is a repeated root on the imaginary axis, then the system is unstable. And also see, here a single root at origin means that is bounded and the system is unstable. Here repeated roots at the origin means unbounded system, unbounded with unstable system. Okay, so non-repeated roots on imaginary axis or single pole at origin means a system is limitedly or marginally stable system. Okay, see, here if all the coefficients, that is here the below conditions are for coefficients of characteristic polynomial, okay, related to coefficients of the characteristic polynomial. That is, here all the, if all the coefficients are positive, that means all the roots are present in left half plane of S plane, okay, left half of S plane. If any coefficient is 0, that means the roots are located on imaginary axis or right half of S plane. If any coefficient is negative in the characteristic polynomial, then at least one root is lying on right half of S plane. Okay, here the below three conditions, three conclusions. Okay, here the below three conclusions made about coefficients of characteristic polynomial. Okay, see, the next one is necessary conditions for stability. Here the necessary conditions for the stability are all the coefficients of a characteristic polynomial be positive. Okay, if any coefficient is 0 or negative, we can say immediately that the system is unstable. Okay, here see the example, that is, here I am taking a characteristic polynomial equation, that is s cube plus s square plus 2s plus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, this is my characteristic polynomial equation. See, here I am going to rewrite the characteristic polynomial equation, that is equal to here s plus 2 into s minus 1 divided by 2 minus j into square root of 15 divided by 2 bracket close into s minus 1 divided by 2 plus j into square root of 15 by 2. Okay, here I am rewriting my characteristic polynomial equation, that is s cube plus s square plus 2s plus 8 equal to 0. Okay, here the roots for the characteristic polynomial equation are, here my highest power of this characteristic polynomial is 3, so that I am having 3 roots, right? So s equal to minus 2 is my first root, and second root is 1 divided by 2 plus j square root of 15 divided by 2, that is second root, and third root is plus 1 divided by 2 minus j square root of 15 divided by 2. So these are the roots of my characteristic polynomial equation. See the above conditions. One is all the coefficients of characteristic polynomial be positive. So if any coefficient is 0 or negative, we can say immediately the system is unstable. Okay, here the coefficients of the polynomial are all positive, but two roots have positive real part. See, the two roots here, among the three roots, two roots have positive real part. So that's why they will lie on right half of S plane, right? So therefore the system is unstable. Okay, see. Here, among these three roots of the characteristic polynomial equation, two of them are lie on the right half of S plane. That is, here from the S plane, see here the second root, that is 1 by 2, that is present on sigma, right? X-axis, real part, plus j square root of 15 divided by 2 on imaginary axis, right? So the second root as well as third one also, they are lying on right half of S plane, right? So that's why if their roots are presented on right half of S plane, then the system is simply called as unstable system. See, here in this concept of stability analysis, here we have some methods for determining the stability of control systems. Okay, here we have some methods that are frequently used for the stability studies of the control system. Okay, first one is Routh-Hurwitz criterion and also Nyquist criterion, and the third one is root locus plot, board plot diagram, and also Nicholas chart. Okay, these are some methods used for determining the stability of linear control systems. Okay, so find out the stability of the control systems. Okay, here in this session we are going to talk about Routh-Hurwitz criteria. Okay, see, coming to Routh-Hurwitz stability criterion, see, it is an analytical procedure for determining whether the roots of a polynomial have negative real part or not. Okay, see, the first step in analyzing the stability of a system is to observe its characteristic equation. The necessary condition for stability is that the coefficients of the polynomial be positive. If some of the coefficients are 0 or negative, it can be concluded that the system is not stable. See, when all the coefficients are positive, the system is not necessarily stable. See, just before we are seeing here in this case, all the coefficients are positive, right? The coefficients of characteristic polynomial equation are positive. See, here s cube plus s square plus 2s plus 8 equal to 0. Here all the coefficients are positive, right? But the system is unstable. That means here, even though the coefficients are positive, here some of the roots may lie on the right half of S-plane. In some cases on imaginary axis also. Okay. See, in order for all the roots to have negative real parts, it is necessary but not sufficient that the coefficients of characteristic equation be positive. If all the coefficients of the characteristic equation are positive, then the system may be stable, and one should proceed further to examine that stability conditions of the sufficient conditions of stability. Here in this topic, Routh-Hurwitz criterion. See, A. Hurwitz and E. J. Routh. Here Routh-Hurwitz means two different names. One is A. Hurwitz and E. J. Routh. They independently published the method of investigating the sufficient conditions of stability of a system. Okay, here Hurwitz criteria is in terms of determinants. Okay, determinants. We are all well known about determinants. Okay, and Routh criterion is in terms of array of formulation. Okay, here mainly we are concentrated on Routh stability criterion in this session. Okay, mainly here the Routh stability criterion is based on ordering the coefficients of the characteristic equation. So that is nothing but that's called as Routh array. See, Routh stability criterion can be stated as the necessary and sufficient condition for stability is that all of the elements in the first column of Routh array be positive. See, here I am having a characteristic polynomial equation, that is a0 s power n plus a1 s power n minus 1 plus a2 s power n minus 2 and so on to an equal to 0, right? Where a0 greater than 0. Okay. See, the Routh stability criterion states that the necessary and sufficient condition for stability is that all the elements in the first column, that is A0, A1, B0, C0 and so on to G0, H0, they are from this. Okay. Array the elements, that is elements in the first column of the array be positive. In this condition, if this condition is not met, the system is unstable. And the number of sign changes in the elements of the first column of the Routh array corresponds to the number of roots of the characteristic equation in the right half of the S-plane. See here, sign change is nothing but here the sign change of first column element. See, just observe the first column of the Routh array. That is, if my first one has a positive sign, then the next element in the first column. Okay, the second element in the first column, if it has a negative sign, then simply there is a sign change. That is one sign change. So again, my third element in the first column has positive. So simply again there is a sign change. Okay. So here the sign changes in the elements of the first column of Routh array, it corresponds to the number of roots of characteristic equation in the right half of S plane. So the number of sign changes is equal to number of roots in the right half of S plane. Okay. See, this is here we are going to see the construction of Roth array. So how we are going to construct the Roth array? This one. See, here I am taking the characteristic polynomial equation, that is a0 s power n plus a1 s power n minus 1 plus a2 s power n minus 2 plus a3 s power n minus 3 plus and so on an s power 0. So this is my characteristic polynomial. Okay. See, here the coefficients of the polynomial are arranged in two rows. Okay, the first two rows are common. Okay, for every polynomial equation. See, that is here s power n. The two rows are, one is s power n and second one is s power n minus 1. See, here the coefficients, here my characteristic polynomial has highest power, that is n, right? See the example. Here I am considering a characteristic equation of the system, that is s power 4 plus 8s cube plus 18s square plus 16s plus 5 equal to 0. Here in this example my characteristic equation is fourth order equation, right? So it has 4 roots. The highest power of s is 4. Here 4 is even number, right? Okay, 4 is even number. Now, in the first row of Roth array, that is s power 4. Carefully, just see the example. That is, for every, in the construction of Roth array, for every characteristic polynomial, the first two rows are common, which is obtained from the polynomial equation only. First rows. Here we are going to write the first rows of Roth array from the characteristic polynomial equation only. Okay. See here in the example. See the example. My characteristic equation has highest power, that is 4. Here 4 is my even number. So first row of Roth array, that is s power 4, is formed by using the coefficients of even power of s. That is, see the coefficient of even power of s power 4, that is 4 is even one, right? So the coefficient of s power 4 means 1. So write down 1. And in the meanwhile, in the row 1, write down all the coefficients of even powers, that is s power 2. Here s power 2 is even power. Its coefficient is 18. So write down 18 in the first row. Again 5. Okay, 5. So up to now we are completing row 1. Coming to row 2, that is s cube. In the second row, is formed by using coefficients of odd powers of S. See, coming to odd powers, in the characteristic equation, first one is 8 S cube. Okay, S cube is the odd power of S, so its coefficient is 8. So that's why we are writing 8. Again, odd coefficient, odd power in the characteristic equation, that is S. So S power 1 means 1 is odd number. Now write down the coefficient of odd power of S, that is S power 1 coefficient is 16. So write down 16 in the second row. Okay, so up to now we have seen how to formulate the first rows of Roth array. Okay, see the other rows of Roth array up to S power 0. See here example, we are write down S power 4, S power 3. Okay, so 2 rows only. Similarly, the other rows of Roth array we are going to formulate the Roth array up to S power 0 row. So this can be done by the following procedure. Okay, see, this is my assumed characteristic polynomial, right? See here, I'm just consider that the coefficients of the polynomial are arranged in 2 rows, just before we are seen. Okay, that is here S0, S power n minus 1. So instead of numbers, I am taking A0, A2, A4, A6, and A1, A3, A5, A7. So see, if I am taking S power n, right? Here S power n is even. So write down the coefficients of even powers. Okay, that is A0, A2, A4 and so on, and A1, A3 and so on. Okay, here consider 2 consecutive rows. Okay, these 2 are the next rows. Okay, these S power n, S power n minus 1 are the first 2 rows of Roth array, and here I am going to consider the consecutive rows of Roth array, that is S power n minus x, S power n minus x minus 1. Okay, that is x0, x1, x2 and so on, y0, y1, y2 and so on. Here the next row will be, that is S power n minus x minus 2. So this is the next row. See, that equal to Z0, Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 and so on. Here Z0 value will be obtained from the determinant. Okay, that is here minus 1 into determinant of x0, x1, y0, y1 divided by y0. See here, that Z0 is obtained from the first 2 combinations determinant. Your first 2 column combinations. Okay, this is the first column and this is second column. Okay, first column means x0, y0, x1, y0. Here don't confuse. Here these coefficients, whatever the coefficients I have, that is S power n, S power n minus 1, simply I am writing A0, A2, right? So instead of A0, A1, A2, A3, I am putting the rows, that is the first two rows I am writing is in terms of s power n minus x, s power n minus x minus 1. Okay, see, I am assuming here you may take numbers also in the next slides or in the next class we are see in detail in problems. Okay, it is here s power n minus x, s power n minus x minus 1. So that is x0, x1, x2 and so on, y0, y1, y2 and so on. Okay, just I'm assuming. Okay, see the next row, these two are common. These two are obtained from the characteristic polynomial equation. Okay, so this is the third row, s power n minus x minus 2. I'm getting z0. If z0 is obtained from here minus 1 into the determinant of first two column combinations divided by the previous row first element. That is here I just want to find out the third row. Okay, if you want to find out the third row, so simply minus of determinant of two column combinations divided by previous row first element, that is y0. So simply see that z0 equal to minus 1 into determinant of x0, x1, y0, y1 divided by so previous row first element, that is y0, which is equal to nothing but simply I am going to write y0 x1 minus y1 x0 divided by y0. Okay, so you may write minus 1 into x0 y1 minus x1 y0. So simply multiply with minus. Finally, we will get. Finally, we have y0 x1 minus y1 x0 by y0. So similarly, in order to get z1, see the z1. So in order to get z1, minus 1 into determinant of first column combination and third column combination divided by same the previous row first element, that is y0. Okay, likewise in order to get z2, minus 1 into see determinant of first column combination and fourth column combination, that is x3 y3. Okay, divided by the previous row first element. Likewise, so up to and so on. Okay, we are going to find out the elements of s power n minus 2 row, that is next row. Hope you all understand. See, sir, in the construction of row array, there are 4 special cases in the first column array of the rows table. Okay, the first case is no element in the first column is 0. That is, there is no element The first column of the row array is 0, that is case 1, and case 2, first element of row is 0, but some or other elements are not 0, that is case 2, and third case is entire row is 0. So see, not 4 cases here only. See, this is a mistake. Only 4, not 4. Here only 3 special cases in the construction of rows table. Okay, row table. One is normal row array, that is no 0 element in the first column of row array, and second one is 0 in the first column, but some other elements of the row containing the 0 in the first column are non-zero. Okay, and third case is entire row is 0. Okay, that is in the construction of row array we have 3 cases. It's not 4, it's 3 cases. We're coming to first case, that is no element in the first column is 0. See, there is a normal case. Here by using Routh criterion, we are going to determine the stability of the system. Okay. By the characteristic equation, that is, here we have the characteristic equation. By using that characteristic equation, we are going to determine the stability. Okay. So that is here s power 4 plus 8 s cube plus 18s square plus 16s plus 5 equal to 0. Okay. See, here the given characteristic equation is 4th order equation, right? So it has 4 roots. Here highest power of s is 4. That is 4 is a even number. Okay. See, here for every characteristic polynomial equation, we are going to write the first 2 rows from the polynomial equation. See, write on the first row, that is the first row contains coefficients of even powers of s. Why? Because the highest power of s in the polynomial equation is a even number, right? And it is even number, that is 4. So the first row becomes 1, 18, 5. So coming to second row, that is s cube. In the second row, write down the coefficients of odd powers of s, that is 8, 16. Okay, so first 2 rows are write down from the characteristic equation. See, the elements of s cube row 8 and 16. See, 8 and 16. See, 16 is a multiple of 8, right? So 8 2s are 16. See, for simply computations, for simply calculation purpose, here the elements of s cube row divided with 8. Okay. See the next one. Next, see the next step, that is here I'm going to divide the elements of second row, that is s cube, by 8. So finally we have s cube row values 1 and 2. Okay, that is s power row 1 is 1, 18, 5, row 2 that is s cube 1, 2. See, we are going to write down the other rows, okay, in this row array up to s power 0 row. So we have s power 4 and s power 3 rows. So we are going to write down the rows up to s power 0. Okay, now write down the next row, that is s power 2. Here s power 2 is obtained from first two rows, that is -1 into determinant of first combinations of first column combinations of s power 4, s power cube divided by the previous first element of s cube row. Okay, the previous row first element. Okay, that is -1 into 1, 18, 1, 2. So the determinant of first two column combinations, right, divided by 1. That's nothing but 1 multiplied with 18 minus 2 multiplied with 1 divided by 1. That equal to 18 minus 2 divided by 1. Value is 16. Row 3 first element, first value is row 3 third element in the first column, that is 16. See, in order to get the second, that is s square, the second element in row 3. So which is obtained by doing again determinant of a first column combination of s power 4, s cube, and the last column combination, that is 5, 0. So simply take it 0. There is no value, right? Divided by first value in the previous row. That is first value in the previous row, that is 1. Okay, so 1 multiplied with 0 or you may take directly, that is 1 multiplied with 5 minus 1 multiplied with 0 divided by 1. So the value is 5. See, coming to s power 1, so row 4. See, row 4, there is s power 1 value is obtained simply by performing 16 2s are minus 5 1s are divided by 16, that equal to 1.7. So coming to s power 0, the value is simply 5. Okay, see here now we are going to observe the first column of the row array. Okay, that is here all the elements are positive, and also see all the elements are positive and there is no sign change. Here sign change nothing but here in the first column first element has positive sign, second element also positive sign, third element also positive sign, fourth element also positive sign, and the last element also positive sign. So all the elements in the first column has positive sign, so there is no sign change. Okay, if there is any sign change, then the number of sign changes is equal to the number of roots present or lie in the right half of S plane. Okay, see from this we are going to conclude that for this characteristic equation the stability of the system is stable. So the system is a stable one, and also here all the roots are positive. Okay, so that's why see here all the elements, not roots, here all the elements in the first column are positive. So that's why the roots corresponding to this characteristic equation are lying on left half of S plane. Okay, so simply the system is said to be a stable system. Thank you. See, in the next class we are going to see the remaining two cases, that is case 2 and case 3. See, first element of your row is 0, but some or other elements are not 0. That is case 2, and case 3, a row of all zeros. Okay, so the remaining two cases we are going to see in next class. Thank you.